Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming back and listening to the Transform Your Birth podcast. Today we have the lovely Kate, and we're going to label her Kate S today, and she's going to share her birth story. So welcome, Kate. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, Tracy.
Now, Kate, tell us, how were you feeling about being pregnant, and what type of preparation did you do coming into the birth?
This was my first pregnancy and I had a pretty good time of it. I was generally pretty healthy and everything, which was really nice. And but I was a bit uncertain about giving birth and what that would all mean and look like. And yeah, I guess I sort of physically, I did perineal massage, things like that, as advised by the midwives. I was in the continuity program, so I felt quite well supported. Very lucky to be in that program. And then the other big thing for me was not only my mental game for going into this big a game, I guess, match, like a sporting match sort of thing. It was getting mentally prepared. And so I did Tracy's course, and that was such a huge mind frame shift, which was really beneficial. And I knew I needed that. But what I didn't realize before I went into that course was that how much my husband's mind frame needed to shift, and the sort of things he was saying. Like, he was just saying things like, oh, you're going to need all the drugs under the sun because if you stub your toe, you like have a meltdown. And I was like, I don't know. I think I quite like doing some meditations every now and then. And I think that there's possibility that I could do this without pain drugs. And he was like,
so he didn't have a lot of faith. No, isn't that interesting?
So, and like loves me so much. And the fact that after doing your course and reflecting on it, we just went, oh, wow. Yeah. So
he probably didn't realize how socially conditioned he was to think of childbirth as the worst pain you'll ever experience. And geez, you're not going to cope with this. But not appreciating how those negative comments that women get all the time, even from the people who love them and are well-intentioned. Yeah. What do you think was it that he learned that helped him to shift his perception around particularly his role, but also how he spoke to you about birth?
I think one of the biggest things was understanding the physiology and how your mind controls the like how calm you are, and it's and how being calm is important physiologically. In terms of being able to get all that blood flow to your uterus, and it's just a muscle that's got to do a job. Like you said earlier today, birth does you, not the other way around. So you've just got to get all that blood to your uterus so that birth can happen. And once we sort of realized that, it made so much sense that staying calm was the main tool in the toolkit.
And so did he start to appreciate his role and his influence on you being calm?
Yeah, definitely. And it was a sort of a good cycle where he understood that it was important, but he also believed in me, so it just kept sort of feeding itself. And we had a great partnership.
That's beautiful, and put you on the same page by the sense of it. Fantastic. So what changes did you notice in yourself, Kate, after going through that process of change doing the course?
I think I believed in myself once I realized how much I just needed to. It was a very simple job. I didn't have to worry about what to do. All I had to worry about was breathing and trying to stay calm, and that was just the only thing that mattered. And on the day, that's all that I can remember. Pretty much.
That's good. What role then did the practices play in helping you to remain calm? Did you notice any changes when you started to practice and do the audio tracks?
Yeah, I for starters, I was well rested. That
Yeah.
Relaxing into sleep one was a game changer.
Yeah.
By the way, once you have a baby as well, being able to get to sleep like that is a godsend.
It's a good track, that one, isn't it? Being able to sleep. It's not waking up to a newborn baby, it's getting back to sleep is the challenge. Yeah,
exactly. So that was a godsend afterwards. But yeah, in the lead up, being well rested, because I felt like I could get to sleep when I was insanely uncomfortable with this giant belly. That was just, it's invaluable.
Yeah. And did you notice your ability to go into deeper and deeper states of relaxation start to emerge when you practiced every day?
Yeah, definitely. And I sort of, I guess, it's so hard to get your mind to understand, I guess, what this calm ideologies are all about until you've sort of experienced it. It sounds a bit like hippy dippy, I guess, for lack of a better term, when you go, oh, just breathe through it, it's fine, do some meditations and you'll be a birthing goddess. But no, it really does help to recenter you. Just and adding that little pause at the end of the breath really just helps to get some composure in what is a otherwise quite manic and
intense experience.
I
think I'm pleased you sort of raised that, because I think there's a lot of things we have to accept about birth that are out of our control, but one of the things we can work with is our ability to down-regulate the stress response, because you're very, very vulnerable when you're in labour. You're vulnerable to people saying things that could cause you to get scared. You're vulnerable to how the baby's doing. Any messaging around the baby not being happy can cause women to go into stress. And so when you've got a practice that causes you to go into deeper and deeper states of relaxation and strengthens your capacity to be calm, then when you are in labour, your tolerance of external messaging gets greater, because you know your number one role is to be really relaxed, to keep the blood flow where it needs to be, and to activate those beautiful, hormones that support you to work with the birth, not against it. So yeah, that's great. Thank you for fleshing that out. Okay, tell us about the birth. How did it unfold?
Well, yeah, I didn't really know when I was in labor or what it means. I mean, we get told, go to the hospital when your contractions are this long and this far apart. But apart from that, it's like, okay, has it started yet? I don't know. So on Sunday, I think it was, I got some period cramps, and at time, TMI maybe, but we're all women here, a little bit of discharge, but it was I don't know, I was expecting this horrific mucus plug, or I don't know what I was expecting, or my waters to break. And I knew it wasn't going to be like in the movies, but thought there'd be something a bit obvious to tell me, yep, this is go time. None of that, just a bit of cramping. Went and did the groceries. I was planning to meal prep all the next week. I went to bed with a wheat pack, back like I used to have period cramps when I was in high school, and that was it. And then at 2 o'clock in the morning or so, they started. I couldn't sleep through them anymore, and I was noticing they were sort of coming and going a bit, and I thought, okay, this is probably it. So I just couldn't lie down anymore. That wasn't comfortable. Had to sort of sway around and stand, and and then labored on my own for a few hours, because I thought, oh well, why wake husband up? And and then eventually at about 4:30, I sort of woke him and said, actually, I think today might be the day. I don't think you're going to work today. So that was interesting, that watching that unfold from could happen in the next few weeks. Well, should, I guess I was 38 weeks pregnant, 38 plus 5.
38 plus 5. Okay. Yeah.
And so then the midwife came out to us, which was really lovely in the continuity program to see how I was going. I rang her and just said, look, I'm not ready to come in yet, but do you want to put me in your calendar? Like, I don't know how this works.
Yeah.
I think you might need to help me today. And so then she came out, checked me and said, oh yeah, usually when the sun comes up, labor sort of fizzles out and you'll get some more contractions towards the end of the day, but how about we touch base around lunch and see how you're going? And around lunch I had a tiny bit of bleeding, so we went, rang the midwife and ended up going into the hospital. And she said, oh yeah, just park in the 2-hour spot, we'll check you and you'll go home again. But when she checked me, I was 10 centimeters. It was phenomenal. And I thought, thank God, because there's no way in hell I'm getting back in that car to experience more contractions in the car again, because that was unpleasant. But yeah, that was sort of overall how it unfolded.
Yeah. So your contractions were obviously very efficient, doing what they needed to do to open the door. Tell us a little bit, Kate, about what you were doing with your mind when you were experiencing the contractions. What sort of mind techniques did you use in order to deal with the intensity?
I started off sort of just focusing on my breathing, trying to remember to breathe through my nose.
Yeah, nose breathing.
And then I guess I was just trying to, I don't know, I didn't have any like sort of things I pictured, but I guess I was just trying to think of ways that I would be most comfortable. But to be honest, all that I can remember thinking about was breathing and sorry, my baby is groaning.
Hey, little one.
The only thing I could remember thinking about was breathing and trying to get comfortable. And I was just using heat from the shower. And then when I realized that I probably couldn't stand on my legs for the entire duration of my labor, but was never comfortable sitting, my husband suggested laying down in the bath. And he ordered himself some lunch and and then said, oh, it looks like your labor's stopped. And I was like hell it has. Why would you say that? He's like, oh, you were silent when I was in the bath. Apparently I was stopped groaning. So he thought my labor had stopped, but it had not. It was still definitely.
So you needed to stand, you needed to move, you enjoyed the shower. That really helped.
Yeah.
And then when you got tired, you hopped in the bath.
Yeah.
Yeah. And were you aware of being more deep in the space in the bath? Did that help you to get more comfort, which is why you were quieter? Or what do you think was going on there?
I think I was really just trying to use it as an opportunity to get as close to sleeping as I could.
Nice.
Because people tell you horror stories about the world's longest labors. And so I thought, well, I better try and get as much rest as I can. And so I was just, channeling those sort of deep relaxation thinking, even if I'm not properly asleep, at least like my body can be resting.
Yeah. Good call, because the biggest challenge women have in labour is they don't know how long they're going to be in labour for. And it's hard not to get excited when labour starts, because, it's like, oh, Labour Day, this is great, baby's on the way. But of course, you've got to pace yourself because you just don't know how long it's going to be. What was your partner doing during that time?
One of his best mates just had a baby 6 months before us.
Yeah.
And his number one piece of advice, this friend's, was as soon as your wife goes into labor, just eat. You never know when your next meal will be.
And
So yeah, he went and ordered Airbnb, or what's it called?
Uber Eats,
and got it delivered to the house, and was eating a heap of chicken wings. And because they said, yeah, the last thing you're going to be able to say at hospital is, I'm hungry. Can I just go and grab a sandwich?
He was obviously pacing himself too. He was worried he was going to run out of steam.
Exactly. But he, of course, was checking in on me and getting my heat pack if I was on land rather than in the aquatic environment that I was enjoying.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Were there any other sort of tools or things that you used?
The main thing was just that hot water, using the shower, and I was standing in the shower at home, dreaming of the double-headed shower in the birth center, waiting until it was time to go there, because I just wanted it on my back and my front all at the same time.
Yeah, that's why baths are so good, because they just encompass that whole area.
Yeah.
Kate, how would you describe your sensations?
I find it kind of hard to articulate, because I went sort of, especially as they got more intense, I feel like I sort of blacked out in a way, when I was going through them, and so I guess they were like just really tight squeezes, and like very intense, to the point where I just had to, I guess my mind just went somewhere else to be sort of out of body experience and disconnect itself, like cut off the nerve endings. I don't know, but it was amazing that you can sort of experience that level of intensity without feeling extreme pain.
See, what's happening there is the cortex layer of the brain has gone offline. That's the thinking rational brain. And we go into the mammalian brain, the primal brain. And that's the part where, that dictates the birth process. And the way we get in the way of that is when we talk to women, or we overstimulate them, or we have bright lights, lots of noise, all of those things. But when women are given that beautiful environment where they can just focus and feel that, that there's an intimacy, there's a protection, that it's dark and things like that, then they go primal. And when they're in that part of the brain, it's a very different sense of awareness, sense of reality, isn't it? So it's an interesting description you've given. It's like I blacked out. It's like I couldn't think and even register what sort of pain it was, other than just this squeezing tight feeling. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so tell us about the pushing phase.
Well, as soon as I got to the hospital, like I said, I was very well progressed by the time I got there, and I arrived. I was on day 7 of COVID, so the hospital treated me like a COVID patient. And anyway, that's another whole side of things. But I wasn't allowed to touch anything on the way in. So as I'm contracting in the lift, the midwife was like, no, don't touch the handle in the lift. You've got to hold on to me. And that was a whole experience in itself. Then once I got up to the room, the first thing I said to the midwife was, "Oh, let me back in the shower." That was the only thing giving me relief. But she still wanted to check me and send me home because they had a very busy day there. They had inductions, I think like 5 inductions or something that were supposed to happen that day. And so if I wasn't ready, she didn't want me there, which was sort of fair enough. Like, you've got to spread those resources. And so then I wanted to be in the shower, and I just really started at the start of the pushing. I sort of didn't really know what position I wanted to be in. It was a bit strange. I'd gone from being quite comfortable, like swaying, standing up and swaying when it was just contractions, and then I guess my body noticed a shift in either the baby's position or something, and that wasn't comfortable anymore. But I didn't really reach a new equilibrium, and and the midwife just was really supportive, saying sort of minimal things between contractions when I was conscious and able to take it in, just saying like, just get into the position that feels right. She was such a lovely, calming presence, and really made the birth, having her there, which was phenomenal.
Wow.
And she just kept believing in me and encouraging me to find that position that was right for what I needed to do, even though I didn't even know what I wanted to do. So how she could summon the patients to believe that I would eventually decide was amazing.
Did she guide you into trying different positions?
No, I think again, this is where the blackness is most of the time for me. And I've actually said to my husband yesterday, you're gonna have to tell me about the birth, because there's so many things I don't remember. But I do remember eventually deciding, definitely wanting to stay in the shower, because that heat was still really important to getting through it all. But then ending up, I tried sort of like hanging off the bar in the shower a bit. That didn't work. And then I thought, well, maybe I want to be on my hands and knees, but that's really a bit uncomfortable in the shower. So we ended up getting like a towel under my knees, and I just was like, birth ball. I just suddenly remembered that birth balls existed, and that's what I wanted to lean on. And so that's how Sophie arrived into the world, was leaning on a birth ball in the shower.
Wow. How was that moment?
It was amazing, but also terrifying, because once she came out, she didn't cry. I thought, and then I went, okay, she's out. Why isn't she crying? And the midwife said, oh, it's okay. Your waters never broke. So she was born in the sack.
Born in the cool. Oh my goodness. Wow. That's a very lucky thing, apparently.
Yes, so I've heard. So that was nice.
Can you recall seeing her still in the bag, or what was your experience of that?
I was because I was sort of on hands and knees, I just stayed there. The midwife caught the baby, and my husband was up at my head supporting me. He didn't want to risk passing out, so neither of us saw it, unfortunately, but
wow.
It was just amazing to know that was all happening in the room. And once the midwife broke the sack, sure enough, Sophie cried, and then she said, all right, you've got to go off onto the bed now. And I just started like walking off. She was like, wait, your baby. I was like, I can't believe I forgot my baby, but I sort of could as well. Like I knew she was safe, and I just was ready to fall in a heap.
You needed some comfort and warmth to get comfy again. Wow. That would have been amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just on a massive high from all of that, and the midwife said, oh, that was such a beautiful birth. She was so excited about it all, and she was really pleased with how it all came, how like the baby came out, and how we went through the pushing phase, and she did the warm compress on the perineum and everything. So she sort of said, oh, it's 2:00 in the afternoon, you'll be home before the sun goes down. How good's that?
Wow.
But then, yeah, once she checked, there was a bit of tearing, but it really, it was one of the things I was scared about, was tearing, and it really, it just, I mean, you do what you've got to do. And that oxytocin, man, it would be so cool if we could bottle that up and just take it on a daily basis, because nothing mattered.
I call it a performance enhancing drug.
Sure.
So if tearing was one of your biggest fears, you give birth, you discover that you have you did receive a tear. What was your experience of that, Kate? I'm really curious about this, because a lot of these fears that we have before we go into having a baby, the reality of it can be very different. What was that experience like?
So once there was sort of midwife checked, and then she wanted doctors' opinions and everything. So there were different people coming in and out, and honestly, like the doctors kept coming in and saying, I'm so sorry, like it was this horrible thing. But I was sort of still high as a kite on those nice love hormones, and just said, look, do what you got to do, like, and at that point there isn't really much. They kept trying to go through all these like waivers about the risks of surgery and things that I underwent like afterwards, because I had to get stitched up again. And I'm going, well, I don't know, in hindsight it just kind of made me a bit frustrated, because I thought, well, why did they have to highlight all these huge risks? Of course I'm going to go in and get stitched up. Like, what am I going to do? Just be, just leave me, actually, I'm good. But anyway, apart from that sort of side, in retrospect, thinking back on the situation, and being a little bit frustrated, it all, despite being a fear of mine that I would tear, it didn't matter. Like, the worst thing about it was probably that my husband ended up getting left with the baby with no like instruction or help. And he was a bit distressed because he didn't have all those nice baby hormones.
Wow, that's very interesting. It's something I do reinforce most of the time. Women, when they do tear, did you feel it happen?
Well, I don't know. Like, pushing a baby out hurts a bit. So
that's I like to reassure people, women are they ever aware that they've actually torn. It's because there's so many big sensations going on. It's actually hard to distinguish. And so the idea of it just sounds really hard to get your head around. But in fact, the reality of it for most women, I can't say for all, because you never can, we're all just so different, but certainly because there's such bigger things going on, the mind tends to focus on the fact that the baby's nearly here, and the whole tearing just takes a back seat. It's not the time that's the problem. How was your recovery with it, Kate? What was that like, after you had the surgery, and then what impact did that have on your mothering?
Probably not a huge impact on my mothering. It was really hard to imagine straight after birth. It's sort of, you get stuck in this time warp of I sort of liken days with a newborn to like being 10 days in one, because they just wake up and go to sleep, and like they have 10 days for every 1 day we have, and that's how long it feels. And so it was really hard for me to imagine a time when I wouldn't be a cripple, because it was sort of, if I did too many laps between the lounge room and the bedroom, I was feeling quite sore. And so that was hard to get my head wrapped around, that I would, in fact, I could feel myself again. And just, be able to go for like a nice long walk and not feel so sore down there. And you do. You do. 4 months. 4 months is like no time at all. And I definitely felt better longer ago than now. And you just, it's amazing to try and like jump back in the shoes of 1 week postpartum Kate, and just, I wish I could tell her, there, like it will be no time has passed and you'll be back to yourself.
We're very fortunate to have the medical support that we do to make sure that women can recover really well, knit those fibers together and bring it back to functioning. And one of the other advantages, sometimes there is an advantage to it, is the idea that you don't take your pelvic floor for granted anymore. You have to really start to appreciate what it does for you, and that certainly highlights that. And have you had to do any rehab or anything like that around your pelvic floor, Kate?
Just my pelvic. I have had to do some stuff with my pelvic floor, but I mean, it's like you say, you now can't take it for granted. It's stuff that I always should have been doing every day.
Now you've got a bigger reason to do it.
Now I've got a bigger reason. But it's and I tore quite badly, and I'm lucky that the surgery went really well, and I have no sort of symptoms resulting from that, which is really good.
Wonderful. I might tell the listeners that Kate did end up with a 4th degree tear. Now, interestingly enough, we talk about 1st degree, 2nd degree, 3rd degree, 4th degree. 4th degree is the biggest one. And it's very interesting. When I had my first baby, I tore as well, but my midwife never told me what degree it was. And I never asked because I wasn't actually that interested. She never told me how many stitches, or she never gave me any language that could cause me to compare my injury with anybody else. And this is one of the things that we often do, is we use comparative language to then create a story around how good or bad something was. And I would warn people against that type of thinking, because it doesn't matter what degree it is. Ultimately, it's your recovery. It's looking after yourself, bathing it, keeping it clean, preventing infection, doing some pelvic floor work, getting the blood flow back there, learning to respect your body and to really promote its recovery, and to look after yourself and to nurture yourself. And so one of the beautiful things my midwife did is she never gave me that comparative language. All she did was she drew a picture of what had happened and how she'd helped to mend that back together. And I had, a few months of being uncomfortable sitting, but once again, it gave me a real appreciation, like Kate's describing, of that part of your body. And whilst we can think it's a really big thing, if we go in with a mindset of trusting the body's ability to heal and overcome injuries, then, anything's possible, not to get too caught up in it. Thank you, Kate. Thank you so much. What did you learn about yourself as a result of your experience?
I guess it's maybe a bit of a cop-out answer, but that I am stronger than I thought I was. I really surprised myself, as my husband so aptly put. I'm one of those types that will make everyone in the vicinity very aware if I stub my toe. And so I wasn't sure how I would go with childbirth.
Yeah.
So yeah, I surprised myself what I was capable of.
Yeah. And your ability to overcome, particularly, having to recover from tearing. Yeah, there you go. Interesting. And what would you tell a pregnant woman about birth? What wisdom would you share?
Oh, that's so hard. And I mean, of course, only if they ask, because
Yeah.
yeah, we
very
don't
good
want
at
to jam things down their throats.
No, true.
But I sort of think I would like to tell people about to go into labor, to give yourself, well, about to have a baby, sorry, to give yourself enough time to get ready for that. We sort of are in this world where a lot of people work right up until their due date.
Yeah.
And I actually went into labor 2 days after I submitted my thesis. Not even.
Wow.
Like less than 2 days. And just as I was at the tail end of COVID, so sort of my symptoms dissipated, I submitted my thesis, and I really believe that all of those stress reliefs that I had might have kick-started labor. And if I was still pushing through and highly strung and trying to do work and this and that, anyway, basically just take a beat, relax. Winding down in the lead up to birth is a job in itself. Don't be afraid to take that time.
Yeah, that's nesting. That's what Kate's talking about.
But people think nesting is doing a heap of jobs and cleaning the house and running around and buying baby clothes and reorganizing a million times. And I guess if that's therapeutic to you, sure, do that. But don't feel like you have to be doing stuff.
Yeah.
Because just relaxing is a job, and an important one.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. That's great birth wisdom. And that's certainly what we're trying to do with these podcasts, is to shift the way we talk about birth, to help people to bring into their own labours a different mindset and a different understanding of what are the things that can really change the way a labour unfolds. Kate's story, she shared with us her preparation, how important it was to get her partner's mind in the game and to help her partner to switch gears into really understanding the role that he can play to keep her calm and to build trust and confidence in her ability to do this. And then she ended up having a very straightforward birth. There was no complexity, which was very fortunate. The baby came and her body opened beautifully to let little Sophia into the world. Sophia was born in the core, which is quite a lucky thing. And then Kate went on to experience a 4th degree tear, which she recovered from beautifully. And she was able to really adapt to those circumstances, probably with a little bit of help from those performance enhancing hormones, but also helping her to realise that she was way stronger than she thought, and had a capacity to keep going and to get through and overcome those things much more than she could ever have imagined. So thank you so much, Kate, for sharing your story. It's a very inspiring story. And it was lovely for you to share those wise words at the end too, about nesting being something where you actually relax and build up your energy levels. Thanks again. And please come and listen next week, and we'll have another story for you then. Bye for now.
Thanks, Tracy.